So with that, I'll invite my first panelist today here. So my first panelist is Ankit Roy. Ankit is the co-founder and CTO at Khabri. It's one of the leading platforms in terms of media and news. And he's on a mission to build India's largest audio platform. He has over 8+ years of experience across different sectors and software industries. He's a software engineer by profession and working on various platforms. Welcome, Ankit. My next panelist is Deepak Kumar. So Deepak is the head of cybersecurity at Infogain. It's a leading ITES firm that provides services across different sectors. Deepak focuses on infrastructure, cloud, and governance at Infogain. Welcome, Deepak. My next panelist is Sunil from ShipRocket. Sunil is the CTO at ShipRocket, and while we were chatting, we have a lot of common CTO friends. He's been with ShipRocket for over 4 years now. Previously has spent time with Reliance and Easy Diner. So welcome on board, Sunil. My next panelist is Shriram from Cosmo Films. So Shriram, he's the general manager and CIO at Cosmo. In his previous stint, he was the CIO at Asian Paints. He's a IIT Mumbai alumni and has been focusing on large-scale transformations, including ERP and the program implementations. Welcome, Shriram. My next panelist is Vishal Rathore from IFCI. So Vishal is the CIO at IFCI. Pretty much entire career in banking and financial services. He was earlier as a VP with Yes Bank and has led transformations on SAP and Oracle at Yes Bank and at IFCI. Thank you and welcome on board, Vishal. My next panelist is Mohammed Sohail. Mohammed is the VP at Fairsent, which is a leading P2P lending platform. And he has over 18 years of experience in development and telecom banking sector. Welcome, Sohail. Then I have two more panelists, Sanjay from Google Cloud. Sanjay, I would say, is a veteran in the cloud space. He's the corporate territory manager for Google for mid-market and previously worked with IBM, Microsoft, and Tata. So all the big tech that we can think of, he's been around. Then can I have Abdul from Brio? So Abdul is the co-founder of Brio, about 2 decades at Brio. And by education, he's an accountant. So he's left his CA in between to follow his passion and developed Brio, which is a leading technology platform for cloud. And he is also one of the first 1,500 Google Cloud professionals across the globe. So welcome, Sanjay and Abdul. So this is the power pack panelist that we have. Now, we've heard about what a Google Cloud can do and what Brio can do. Now, just to set the context before we dive further into the topic. Now, everybody here would agree that cloud essentially is the stepping stone for the digital journey that an organization wants to undertake. Now, in the last 1 year, cloud computing has been growing at a rate of about 20-odd%. In fact, it's almost $500 billion spent across the globe. And analysts are forecasting that this will continue for another couple of years. And it's the same trend in India as well. In fact, it is led by the ITES, followed by manufacturing and banking industry. So that's why my first question to you before I go to the other panelist, Sanjay. What is the trend that you're seeing in terms of cloud adoption in India and the mid-market? Because traditionally what we've seen, the pickup of cloud across organizations was a little slower. At one end we have the startups, but in the traditional, the pickup was a little slower. But it seems to have gained momentum. So what are you seeing in the market, Sanjay?
So good evening once again, everyone. So I've been interacting with, the CXOs and the CIOs on this side is almost like 16, 17 years, right? And the trend, and I think the Kapil has already said, and let me repeat for the sake of repetition, the trend that we are seeing here is the conversation has moved from lift and shift and from infra to, how we can optimize the processes, how we can make organizations more operationally agile and improve customer experiences, right? Now, that is one of the reasons, when we go and pitch any solution from Google Cloud, it's more from the industry lenses, right? It's more from how we can partner with organizations, right? And it's not only partnering only with the CIOs and the CTO organization, but also with other business functions, right? And that's the trend that we are seeing it in the last 2.5 years. We have seen, a drastic change in the cloud adoption, right? And those data points, right? I think Lalit has already shared it, and we all are privy to it. But yes, there is a titanic shift. And the key here is, and I can, one of the discussion I was having yesterday with one of the big retail chain owner, right? And a very good statement that he made. Sanjay, if you're coming to me for selling something, I may not be a good customer, but if you're coming for a partnership, right? And then yes, anytime you are most welcome. And that's the shift that we're seeing. It's not a selling that we do, it's more of a business partnership that we talk about.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sanjay. So it's the world is moving towards partnership and not towards you sell and move out. Correct?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, Sohail, because you deal with regulators, and Vishal, if you want to add on to that. See, being a regulated industry, so RBI closely keeps a watch on the lending as well as the banking and financial services. What trends are you seeing? I mean, how has been the cloud adoption journey in your organization?
Faircent is, let me talk about the organization. What exactly is our organization? Faircent is the leading India #1 company in the peer-to-peer loan lending company. And we capture in NBFC sector, we capture the 47% approx lending as per the Gartner report and other reports. So in that case, actually, compliance and everything is driven by the RBI. Even if you see, if you go to our website and you can see that Mr. Rajat Gandhi and Vinay Matthew, these are the people who has written the P2P lending process and all these things. RBI generally consult these people what exactly process we need to follow in terms of either it's a compliance, it's a security, and all these things. So generally, process drive by the Faircent in the industry. This is what I am seeing that. And in case of the digital transformation, as I said that we are an 8-year-old company, so we started with the cloud. So from day one, we are on the digital transformation. And even if you see our lockdown journey and all these things, at that time also, we completely on the digital mode. So all the process, we capture all the borrower, lender details, PI details, and all these things. Our responsibility is not to just capture the detail, to prevent the leakage in the system. Nobody can hack our system or due to security reason, whatever reason is that. So we need to secure all these things. So in that, I can say that Faircent is benefited with the digital transformation. Otherwise, we are out, as everybody is saying in the industry, in AI media, that data is the new oil for the success month, and flow is the new outage. So without digital transformation, we are out from the system. We cannot capture the 47% of the industry in the NBFC, especially in the P2P lending.
And so what role has cloud played in their journey? Because there are organizations, and Vishal, you may want to add, IFCI would have traditionally been in-house data center organization.
So now everywhere is a digital transformation. Once you are talking about the digital transformation, you cannot run away from the cloud. One and another form, you have to use the cloud for your one or another services. So being as a financial institute and the Government of India company, then definitely we have to be agile with the ongoing digital transformation. So we have started our digital transformation journey long back, 5 years back. Okay. and now we are going for the entire digital transformation of the next age. So SAP we are using as a basically our transaction engine. So now we are moving for the S4 HANA upgradation. So when this blue company people that SAP has came to me and they said, "Ke sir, you rest assured, now we will take care, your application will take care about your ICT infrastructure as well." Then I'm quite surprised. कह रहे यार SAP में तो इतना problem आता है, ICT कैसे handle करोगे? Then they said, "Sir, you rest assured, we are having the arrangement with the GCP." Then I just got the comfort. Okay, fine. When the behind that GCP is there, then I have need not to think about my ICT infrastructure. That is the one part. So when we are talking about the cloud, and that's my fellow friend has said, that data is a new fuel. Data is a new fuel, but data is just like the water. Water everywhere, but those are the very useful water is very less. So similar kind of thing, data is everywhere, but to how to generate the business, how to generate the actual output, you have to require the analytics, mining. When you are talking about the analytics, then you would require the high level in the high processing engine, that is the high-end server. And the investment would be the very huge for this high-end server. Then definitely cloud comes into the picture, where entire infrastructure is available. Quickly you can put your data, run your analytics algos, generate the results. And obviously, as a government company, I would say, previously we are investing in the hardware, then we have to go for a long procurement cycle. Then if any new application would come, then again we have to procurement for the hardware and all those parts. And again put this hardware into the third-party data center, that would be quite difficult. Now since the cloud is there, then I need not to think about the new application. Just simply I have to give the request to my cloud service provider, here give me the 2 virtual machine having the 2.6 gigahertz and this 500 GB ka space. Then next day that virtual machine is ready, I have to just simply deploy my application. So it is quickly, turnaround time is reduced exponentially. Okay, and I just give the better services to my customer. So this cloud has just changed the experience of my customer, just changed the experience of my business user, internal and external both. So correct. Cloud is a need of time. Thank you.
So absolutely. So cloud is the need of the hour. And so, Sohail, within you are a cloud native organizations. Have you seen a resistance from business, or have you seen a acceptance, high level of acceptance within the business when you simply started with the cloud?
Look, in our case, as I said, that we are a complete digital company. So we never seen the resistance from the business. Even business is hungry for the cloud. They said that everything they need are automated things. Or their whole, either it's a lender or borrower journey, because I'm coming from the fintech, so I'm going to talk in that word, lender or borrower journey. So they just want everything should be a digitalized. There should be a no human intervention kind of thing. Earlier, when we give a loan and all these things, then there are cases that we do a physical, because people are living in the 500, 800 miles away from our places, and we don't have a presence in those areas. So we need to do a physical verification earlier. But after digitalizing all these things, we just do a simple call, and with our application, online application, we do all the digital verification. Even we can track IP and all these things, from which device ID and all these things, that save us at the side of fraud. If we do all this physical, then might be a fraud chances and all these things, number will be increased. I'm not seeing that without digitalization, fintech is possible. If we will not follow the cloud digitalization process, might be we will go in the 1990s era of the stock market crashes and all these things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
These kind of digital process, digital journey, we can avoid that kind of fraud and all these things. Because as I'm saying that fintech is all about the fraud detection and anti-money laundering. So without cloud digital transformation, how transaction is moving from one place to another, I'm not seeing that. If I'm seeing the old data center and all these things, might be we are 10, 20 years, at least Faircent is 10, 20 years behind our current success.
No,
I can say that.
So Vishal talked about agility, speed, and you're talking about security. So before I come to you, Shriram and Deepak, so I have a question to Sunil and Ankit. So Sunil, you have seen the transition from a data center kind of environment to a logistics company which is cloud native. and I'm sure that you would have seen that as well, Ankit. So in your view, how has the journey or what has been the adoption rate in the organization that you worked and the where you are doing right now? What is the difference that you are seeing in terms of the people mindset?
So essentially, if we look all around us, it's all about two things. One is reducing friction between multiple stakeholders and information flows, workflows, and enhancing the experience which you want to give to your customers. It can be your internal employees, it can be your business stakeholders, it can be your end consumers. And what all we are discussing in my the crowd or the environment or the public has already moved to the cloud. It is the businesses which are catching up. So if we look all around us, today we get 8-minute, 10-minute delivery from Blinkit and Zeptos of the world. What are they? They are just cloud stores, dark stores. And today we don't even talk about compact discs or audio cassettes. We talk about Spotify and all that. What is that?
Yeah, those should be in museums.
So, exactly. So people have already moved to the cloud. It is the businesses which have shown resistance, and they are now in the journey of various phases in digital transformation. So the thing is, it has to be financed. You need to have a business financer if you talk about the cloud journey. And incidentally, what we have seen, especially in companies like ours, Shiprocket and others, because we were born at an ideal stage where the cloud was gaining momentum, and the inherent DNA was agility and speed, without compromising on the experience. So it was a logical extension to opt for cloud, because you just said that you need some new machines, you have to deploy new applications. You can just do it on the click of a mouse. And as compared to that, so for instance, if I have a bare metal machine and the memory is full, I have to upgrade it. And my business is, if getting more consumers, they are generating more data, what will I do?
Correct.
So these are the inherent advantages which new age companies or the companies which were born, especially in the last decade or so, were given. And also I'd like to thank especially the public cloud providers like GCP and others. They have created a conducive environment for the startup ecosystem so that people can be onboarded easily. So apart from the ease of use, they have created that ease of onboarding also and made it easy, both from a cost perspective and also from a knowledge perspective also, to help in onboarding. So that has helped.
Ankit, what's your view on that? You've been a cloud native since the start.
So for me, I personally haven't seen transformation in my journey, because my journey started with cloud itself. And I'm sure I'll not be able to relate the challenges that people or businesses have faced while the transformation happened at a very high scale. And for us personally, a lot of experiments happen when you do a startup, and cloud really helps us make those experiments faster. And then definitely you need specialist softwares like BigQuery is there, analytical softwares are there. And then if you have to analyze your data and then make a decision, it will take months or years, even if you are a specialist engineer or analyst. And cloud is solving this really quick. And those are the use case which helps you understand the real pain point and address those challenges real quick. And for startups and the new companies which are being built, I think it's a no-brainer for them. And when we started initially, we had a lot of challenges in terms of the partnership point of view, like just we discussed. Today, it's actually a era where from GCP, from AWS or Azure, we had experiences with most of the cloud companies, and we had great experiences working with them because they closely help you, handhold you to understand the cloud better and then solve the challenges faster.
Okay. So, so coming to you, Deepak and Shriram. So, Shriram, you've changed this industry sector. So, from manufacturing within Asian Paint, you've now moved to Cosmo. So, my question to you is not more from an adoption perspective, but more towards the transition that you would have seen at Asian Paint vis-a-vis the Cosmo films, because media is an entirely different sector, and in our experience, when media used to get transferred, there were a hell lot of security which used to get the movies to a theater. Now it's entirely on cloud. So how has been your journey on that?
So one misnomer I would want to highlight is, so Cosmo Films has nothing to do with media or
Okay.
movies.
Sorry.
So this is flexible packaging films, right? So or industrial films or lamination films. So all your visiting cards would have lamination films, or
Yes.
you take your Lay's chips packet, the packaging that you see on that. So
My bad.
yeah,
Yes.
but absolutely. So when I was in Asian Paints, the kind of challenges we had, this is what Cosmo Films has, are very different, and it all comes back to what the business wants, right? So you start with what business-led transformations are needed for your organizations to give better customer experiences, to maybe have to find more opportunities for additional revenues, or saving on margins, etc. And from there you work backwards and find solutions that work for you, right? So and if you take Cosmo Films, we are now called Cosmo First because we are not just into films now. We have recently launched a pet care brand called Ziggly, which is in the D2C space. So I get to wear a B2B, B2C hat on and off during the day itself, right? So the kind of challenges you see there, we are able to sort of go beyond by using the best practices that are available through cloud solutions, right? So and it all comes down to the capabilities of cloud itself. So lift and shift is really not the answer in many cases. And that's why you see in companies like Asian Paints, where if, for example, S4HANA on-prem works really well for Asian Paints. Yep. I have heard from my colleagues there that they're talking about Rise now and the kind of benefits it has. And obviously those thought processes would be there, but it's incredibly hard to move away from that to another cloud-based ecosystem. Whereas for newer initiatives that you want to drive, it is a no-brainer that you want to go directly on cloud and reap those benefits. So when Kapil talked about the retail search, and me and Sanjay were discussing about this even earlier during the year, those kind of benefits are immediate, right? You might spend a lot of time in building up those kind of applications and building the scale required to reach there. So it's a combination of modernized applications and also as-a-service models which are disrupting the ecosystem where the adoption
Absolutely.
also comes.
So you brought a very important point to the discussion, Shriram. What business wants? Now, Deepak, you've been supporting business. Now, and in my experience, business would want the moon and the sun. But it is our job and to give them what is actually possible, at the same time securing it. So how have you seen the adoption in terms of the risks, and how do you handle what business wants?
Well, thank you, Lalit. Initially, when we talk about 2015, the business wants cost cutting, and the only thing to cloud that cost should be less.
Okay.
But going forward, things has been changed. So now business is not worried about cost cutting only. They want agility. They want security.
Correct.
And after pandemic, the security is the parameter.
Okay.
So now they want that whatever they have on the cloud, it should be secure, and it should be secure in the any way. And there were myths that if you are migrating or moving to cloud, everything is secure. But it's not right. Like we talk about shared responsibility. So I would say it is not all about shared responsibility. There is a one thing that has been cut from the security perspective, that physical infrastructure is taken care by the cloud provider. but still data configurations, data access controls, these all are responsibility of a client, and there is a lot more that has to be taken care. So since I am from a security background, so I focus more on security, and I have seen multiple examples recently, or 2-3 years, that were due to security breaches, companies has gone shut down. So now boardroom discussion is always how to secure data, what you want to secure the data. So initially the budget was issue, but now they want, if you have right solution and right people in place, and then security can be achieved. So again, the combination of people, process, and technology that has to be placed in right way on the cloud to secure the data.
You brought another concept, people, process, technology, we call. So you have the security triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, availability.
Absolutely.
But the people, process, technology, which brings to me to you, Abdul. So in your 2 decades of experience, I'm sure you will have come across where security is a primary challenge, or agility and user experience. So how have you seen the adoption or the trend over the last 2 decades from a cloud and Brio perspective?
I think speaking last, you have very little to say because all is
That's
said.
why I got you last.
So anyway, I'll share my personal experience.
Yes.
We started around 2008, 2009, and I think the first thing which we used to do is we used to go and talk about cloud, and the first question was like, "Ye cloud kya hota hai?" So we used to explain what was cloud and all those things at that time. And here we are, people are saying, "Wow, it is cloud." So as a journey, we have seen what is cloud to wow, it is cloud. But I think things are pretty easy now because as it was already said, it's not about cost. It's about what business need, right? And people are moving to cloud for various reasons. Some are moving to stay competitive because cost doesn't matter, right? If you're not surviving, and that's very important. And some are moving, earlier, as already mentioned, 2015, it was all about cost. And
Yep.
now people understand it is very important that, you understand what your business needs. And already it was said, how consumer applications have really impacted us, right? Because, in the personal life, you're using the applications which are very resilient and which are very scalable. You have Google Maps, you're experiencing search, YouTube, all these things which are at scale, and you get that speed. And when you get into office, you have that same expectation like what you're using in personal life. So all the consumer apps have really set the expectation among us what to expect in our business lives also. So this has been a very, a big shift in what end users expect.
Right.
And I think cloud is the only tool because as a company we believe technology is not there as a support function. It should be a business differentiator.
Yes.
Right. So that's what we work with customers, understand what they require, and see how we can make their IT as a business differentiator. So it's not just matter of survival, but how they can leverage technology as growth. And I think cloud is the only medium that has given that ability to the enterprises to focus on what they want really and what they're good at. Even though we are a IT company, we don't have any servers because being a cloud company, preaching cloud, we have to practice cloud.
Yeah.
So we started as a application development product company. We had our own payroll product, which was a client server technology. And 2008, 2009, where we partnered with Google. And that is where we came across the cloud first time. And our commitment was so hard, we really scrapped our, product on which we were surviving and went on to make it as a SaaS product. And we felt hey, this is the future.
So very interesting point. So SaaS. software as a service. So we've seen organizations moving towards SaaS platforms. Now, the mantra that we see, so we talk to a lot of CEOs and the CXOs, the objective that they're going ahead with is that we should focus on what adds value, focusing on what is the thing that we do best. So for example, a logistics company, they don't want a headache of managing infrastructure, managing servers, rather focus on how do you improve the logistics and supply chain. So in that transition, business plays a key role. Now, when an organization is going through a digital transformation, Sunil, which are the key functions that, in your view, that when you are doing a transformation or moving towards taking the cloud journey, which are the key functions that should walk together that journey?
So essentially, if we look from, be it logistics or for that purpose, any other vertical also, but since I work in the logistics domain, so if I see, so as we have talked, data is the new fuel.
Yep.
And essentially, the decision-making cycle itself is getting shortened. People need to take decisions essentially on a near real-time data. And if we just touched in one of the discussions here only that the difference between a data lake and a data warehouse, essentially D-1 ETL traditional stuff which is happening as compared to if I talk about my operations team, which is working on operational efficiency in terms of the delivery percentage or in terms of the delivery efficiency. If I talk about my finance team, which is working on, say, fraud prevention and other stuff, they need those insights in real time.
Correct.
So it is what I'm seeing, and be it my marketing team, if they are upping or down the budgets and marketing spends and making new segments. So if I look across, if I talk about the tech team for that purpose, I need my observability in real time. What is happening on the servers? If the CPU is going down or coming up, what is going on?
Correct.
If I talk in terms of my revenue team or everything is going fine. So if a specific courier partner is giving us, I'm giving them say X 100,000 shipments a day, and today evening is approaching and I have given them 50,000, what has gone wrong? So people don't want to be in a situation where they are reactive.
Absolutely.
And this is a classical problem with all of you will agree that which was a very tough nut to crack if we go 5, 6, 7 years back as compared to today. We talked about things like BigQuery and other stuff where you have. So to answer your question, I mean, it is across the departments. You just as a tech custodian, you have to show them the value that which is good for the business in terms of more smooth and quick decisions, which will impact the end experience and also will fetch you dollars.
Thank you, Sunil. So, Sohail, in your experience at Faircent, have you seen any particular function taking lead in terms of the digital transformation or being the front runner in that? And Sanjay, after him, I would want to hear your views also, what you're seeing in the industry.
Okay, let's talk first. We need to understand that what exactly is the cloud. Nowadays, cloud is just a media.
Yes.
It's very true. And any engineers who come with the ideas, they can transform the things on the fly. They
Correct.
don't need to, in past, what exactly has happened, might be people is having ideas and all these things. But it's very tough to transform those things because once they develop the things in terms of the application and all these things, what exactly they are going to do, they don't know. Now they need to, as you have rightly highlighted, that it's a SaaS world. Everything is in the SaaS. If somebody is coming with the excellent ideas and all these things, they just need to transform into a digital form, and the world will see, and the world will decide that is it worth or not.
Right.
So that is the key thing. The same thing is happened with the Faircent also, that in past era, what exactly has happened, people do all the things in the physical and all these things. So converting those ideas, earlier KYC is, all things are the manual process. everything is in the paper form. There is no scanning and all these things happening. Nowadays, we convert all the KYC process in a digital form, and even we don't need to read those form and all these things, collect all the data. The cloud applications and all these things, it transform OCR and all these things, convert all these data, the paper data into a digital
So
form.
the customer facing,
yes,
so the customer facing
yeah,
end is
yes.
moving faster.
Yes. In our cases, it's earlier it's around 48 to 72 hours of the TAT is generally is there for the disbursement and all these things. Now it's an immediate disbursement kind of thing. We are talking about the immediate disbursement.
Okay.
So these kind of user journey has converted these ideas earlier. I mean, process is already there. We have a full proven process, but we converted all these things in the digital thing, and we are talking about the Insta loan, immediate disbursement, and all these things.
So the speed to market and
Yeah.
the customer facing is the one which is leading. So what are you seeing in the market, Sanjay?
Interesting one, Lalit, me being into the sales, right, as I said, and we always, the CFO office is the last office that we always want to walk in. We we have to come out, right? And very interesting, what I'm seeing is now it's the CFO office where we start in many organizations discussions, right? Because IT or the transformation, the cloud is not more seen as a cost-cutting measure or a cost, right? It's a more of, can we help them to, increase or meet their KRIs, the CFO office, right? That's a very interesting thing. And, most oftenly, we see along with the CIOs and the CTOs office, the CMOs are the equally partners. As I said, the CFO are the equally partners. So not even a single BU which is untouched with this digital transformation, right? So that's at the ground level, that's a change that we are seeing it.
So within your organization, Vishal and Shriram, what do you think? Because see, traditionally what we've seen an SAP or an Oracle, they are owned by the finance function. But we are seeing a lot of marketing coming to the forefront. Manufacturing is the operations or the production teams are now leading the front. What are you seeing?
So as my friend Sanjay said, ultimately you have to run to the CFO office. So
yes, they control the budget.
Yeah. So although we talks about that is a resilience, performance, augmentation and all those things, but end of the day money does matter.
Yes.
You have to make the balance between your IT infrastructure setup and the money whatever you are going to invest. So in the traditional ICT infrastructure deployment model, you have to plan for the next 5 to 7 years. Correct. What would be your processing would be required, what would be your data size. So you have to invest in the ICT for those infra which you are supposed to going to use after 5 years. You have to pay the AMC or ATS for the next 5 years, which I am not using today. But now, when the cloud comes into the picture, I can plan for the short term. I can plan for the 1 year, then next year, and so on. So I need not to invest that money which I'm going to suppose to use after 5 years. This is the comfort cloud has been given to me. So we have to make the balance between that, number one. Number two, when we are talking about the regulatory environment, so recently RBI has come out that typical IT setup would be your DC and DR, that's it.
Yep.
Now we have come out with a new setup that is called the NDR, near side DR, where we have to replicate your entire copy of the data into the near side DR. It means once you will commit your transaction, first will hit, logic will be get validated through the DC, transaction will be commit to the NDR, then it will come back to the DC, then it will replicate to the DR. So this new setup, when I'm talking about NDR, then definitely we have to invest the fuse amount. The similar kind of the DC or DR setup we have to create. Then again, it would not only money, it would take the time. I have to create the data center, the services, network, infrastructure, and everything. So now this cloud has given me the comfort. I have just assessed my requirement only for the data per se, not for the application per se. And just taken the services, created the few VMs in just a short span of time. So this kind of comfort has been given the cloud to me. However, when we are talking about the application part that we are using that SAP and all those things. So main thing is this transaction engine. This is SAP is just a transaction engine. I can use that transaction, the optimized utilization of this engine when we are having the analytics, when I'm having the application on the customer facing, when I'm giving the better UI and UX to my customer, that thing. So in that side, again, I have to go and invest not only in the application, but all the infrastructure. Now, Suppose your whatever the projection you have made for the next 5 years, and it has been gone wrong. Be it is a under projection, be it is a over projection. If it is a under projection, again I have to run through with a complete procurement cycle.
Correct.
If it is an over projection, then it means I'm just wasting my money. So in that case, I can make the projection for the small time, for the 1 year or so, and on need basis, I can increase my ICT infrastructure requirement in the data center on the cloud. So this cloud has been given with a comfort. So we would require the agility, augmentation, but at the same time of money. So this cloud has given me the comfort. I can plan for the short term, and what are the money and budget it is being remain left. For that, I can use into the other application to acquire the more customer, more business, to increase my operational efficiency, etc.
So essentially shifting from a capex model to an OpEx
model. And that OpEx is also for the short term. Not I need not to plan for the 3 years, 5 years, or so on.
Correct.
This is one thing. Second thing is, when I'm taking the ICT infrastructure in the physical model, then disposing of this IT asset, it is a big task. You have to go for the, again, for some RFP model kind of bidding kind of thing where the success whomsoever will quote it more. I have to dispose the IT infrastructure to them. Then what about the data? If any data is remain left in my storage or the server, that data will be get compromised. That is again security risk. But on the cloud, I need not to worry. And the same ICT infrastructure I'm setting, I have to just increase that as per my need basis.
Absolutely. So Sriram, what are you seeing? Which of the functions are driving transformation in your organization? Whether it is the operations, finance, what is it?
I'll talk briefly about the corollary first, where we find the most resistance, right? So typically about finance or manufacturing operations, and within the plants, people are very comfortable with SAP and Excel sheets.
Yes.
Right? And there's nothing that exists beyond that for them. And so therefore, that's where you have to become the evangelist there, right? As to show the possibilities. So okay, for example, let's say that we run a small AI/ML kind of a pilot and show what predictive insights can be built by the same set of data that you are still working with, right? So there's a lot of human elements that you bring in, but these are the possibilities, right? So that's how we slowly sort of are trying to change the game there. And even when we talk about all this smart factory, digital twin, industry 4.0, those are really buzzwords for a lot of people still.
Yep.
When it comes to business teams, right? And the value is something that's very much in the air, right? And again, it comes back to what I said in the beginning, right? So it all has to come back with what is the business value that you're trying to achieve. And sometimes you will have to show some examples with your own environment, rather than just talk about it and then, make it happen. So that's been my own experience, and that's how we are also trying to change the game within our organizations. And to your original question of where the most adoption is, it's always in the revenue generating areas, right? So it's sales and marketing, and there's a lot of younger people also in these kind of setup, and we see a lot of adoption there. Yeah.
So I have two questions for you, Deepak. First, essentially was the point which Vishal brought out on the DC and the DR. Now, while working with a lot of startups, what we are seeing is, whenever we talk business continuity to them, they come back and say, my everything is on cloud. I'm not required to do anything. So what's your point of view on that?
This is again a myth.
Yeah.
That many people think that we are on cloud and no requirement of DC and DR. So again, it depends on your applications which you are using, how critical they are, what uptime and availability a cloud provider is providing. It depends on them. And if it is a critical application and you can't afford to a single minute downtime, then you must have a DC and DR. And I will thank you to cloud providers. Like there is, as said, like previously we used to have, physical side, DC, DR, and multiple infrastructure, multiple efforts, staff, everything. But now there are services in the cloud which we can use. Even, few clicks, we get a, robust DC, DR, and we just get it on the fly.
Yeah, that's absolutely there. You get everything on the click of a button.
Yes, yeah.
But so so I have two questions. What helps you sleep well at night, and what keeps you awake at night?
This is a tough question. Like, being a security person, whenever I wake up, I check my emails, everything's fine.
Okay.
And their cloud definitely it makes my nights very good, because previously I was also in IT field, so I was providing IT support. So previously it was very usual, like once a month or twice in a quarter, that something has gone down.
Yep.
So applications are not working, website has gone down, and now that is not there, because if you are building a cloud infrastructure in a specific and designed way, and you have proper architecture, then you have a lot of failovers at very low cost.
Yes.
So previously, we used to have like another hardware. Then if it is a critical, then another hardware. So it's not the case now. So these are auto. Everything is auto scalable, and means auto. Like if you need extra CPU, extra RAM, or anything, if you are traffic is busting on you, it will save you. So that's how it's making easy my nights. Yeah.
So Ankit, from a yeah, please.
When you are talking about the sleeping well in the night, so you ask this question to the CIO and CTOs, whomsoever is handling the
No, I was
infrastructure.
coming to that.
Every quarter, this IS audit team will run their own patches, VAPT and all those things, come out with a big audit observation. There's a vulnerability in the Windows. You are able to see the version of the application or the banner of the application kind of thing. And this cloud is given the comfort to us.
Yes.
Need not to worry that when the Windows patch is going to update and all those things, then everything it is being taken care by the cloud provider. Then definitely it brings us well sleep for the CIO and CTOs. Rather than the
So that's a valid point, Vishal, that you brought in, and that's what Deepak talked about at the start. And correct me if I'm wrong, Deepak, you're contradicting aspects, because what you configure is what will help you sleep.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I said, like initially, like correct configuration is required in the cloud.
Correct.
And if you are not managing or you are not having right skill set to utilize cloud, you are in hell.
Yes.
Means you don't know what numbers are coming in the last month, last date of the month on the invoice, and who is accessing your data. So that is most important thing, I think.
Absolutely, but that brings a very valid point, Vishal. You get comfort that someone is looking over and someone is watching what is going on in my infrastructure. So Ankit, what helps you sleep well at night from a digital transformation perspective?
So for me, like initially when we started, Khabri, it was my first company which I was building from scratch, and that too like scaled to millions of users. So I have seen all of the different kind of situations and challenges which can happen while scaling the platforms. Not without cloud, but cloud. So it saved a lot of challenges for sure. So while having the scalability challenges, so for us it was more like when something happens on the marketing side, then your users grow really well.
Yeah.
And I was given a concern like, okay, now marketing is going to happen, so you have to be prepared for this month. So then it was easy for me to keep like 2, 3 or 4, 5 machines extra, so that we can accommodate more users in a very short time. And that was a no-brainer for me, because just you need to configure it the right way. And security concern was more of a challenge initially. And like if I think it was a like calculation which I did in the configuration. Otherwise, I've seen like what gone wrong in other companies. And like I can share one incident.
Yep.
Where we were doing a migration of our database, and there were some challenges during the networking part, and we had to open the port for some time. We thought, okay, let's just
That's when you open a package
transfer the
of
data, and we are good.
Share one thing. That is the common thing that we get from IT teams. Okay, let's do it this time, we'll close it tomorrow. But there's a night between that.
So just, I think, few hours of open port, and fortunately it was like just a test data, but the data was gone. So those are the challenges I've seen, and so all the challenges happen at a very testing stage for me. So I found myself lucky that I gone through those learnings with very less challenges, and cloud helped me learn much faster because you understand the right configuration the next day itself, and then you correct yourself. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. So I have last two questions. I'll keep them open for the panelists. So, and if everybody here understands Hindi properly, so there is a saying, "Halwai apni mithai kabhi khud nahi khata." So all of you being from the CIO and the CTO aspect, how well is the IT department transforming in this digital transformation aspect?
I'll take it first.
Yeah.
So, to be honest enough, a confession here, if I look at the entire digital transformation thing, so till about a quarter back, the IT department was running on Excel sheets.
Yeah.
So in terms of, there was no IT help desk. In
Yeah.
terms of workflow management, it was just a plain phone call, or the person used to just go and stand on the head of the IT guy कि ये मेरा laptop नहीं चल रहा है इसको देख लो
Correct.
please, and all that stuff. So in terms of digital transformation, the IT department as such
Is the
was,
last.
it was the last.
So
Yeah, it's always the last. And so we do have tools for IT service, etc. But we are not really looking to transform them at this point. It's
Exactly.
always the
Business
business objectives which are first, and typically gets very down the priority in that sense.
Change which is being forced by the outsiders only. So be it is a business department, be it is my stakeholders. So as you will get the force, then you will wake to the transformation.
So it's the outside force. So what are you seeing within, how is IT transforming across organizations? Or is it primarily the business which is getting transformed?
I think business is mostly related to the technology they're using, right? So I think be it any vertical, so everyone has data, everyone is a IT company. We can't say hey, this is the IT company and this is not a
No, when you
technology
say
company.
IT, the IT function within an organization.
I think अब मैं दूसरी मिसाल दे सकता हूँ वो चिराग तले अंधेरा होता है तो so yeah, even we see we go and implement a lot of things with our customers, but I think we'll be the last to adopt it. So yeah, I think I can correlate.
So that's the common consensus. So Sanjay, is it the same that you are seeing?
One reason could be, the way we are seeing we're growing economy, right? And the business is always, running after the business, and they are, even sometimes it's like an inorganic growth as well,
Yeah.
right? And while knowing, most of the CTOs and CIOs that this has to be done, but always take a backseat, right? So
In fact, you are the people who are driving all the transformations within the organization, but not doing within your own functions. So personally, I would let that as a takeaway. Please do some transformations within your functions. And one last question, another one open. So if you were to give the audience one key thing that they should keep in mind when it comes to digital transformations and cloud, what would that be? I mean, each one of you, if you can add 1 point.
start, my suggestion would be, whosoever is your service partner, right? Start discussing use cases, right? And I always say, take them as your partners, start giving them problem statements, right? And then that's the best way to achieve your results, whatever, whichever BU you are part of, whichever objective that you're driving, right? So that's the way, it's like something, when we go to doctor, we have to tell the problem.
Yep.
Only then the solution comes, right? So that's how, and when I go to my customer, I'll say, yeah, a problem, bataoge the solution. If you don't have a problem, then I can't sell you, right? We can't sell nowadays because everybody knows their business, and rather better than, when we go.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons, within the Google Cloud itself, we have more of customer engineers, we more of resources with domain specialization, right? People coming from a different industries, be it from retail, be it from CPG, be it from banking. The only reason is because they understand the customers' industry, and they have a better, or rather they can speak in a same wavelength, right? So no more selling is required nowadays, right? It's about partnership.
And focusing on the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think like I would just re-emphasize one term which has come, like people, process, and technology. So when we are adopting technology, we mostly focus on the gaps and things like that, but we rarely focus how that technology is going to impact our culture, the culture of the company, and how it's going to impact the processes. If you are looking at this processes, right, and trying to do it in the same way as old, with the previous technology, then I don't think that innovation would come into the organization.
That's very
So
interesting.
it has to be a union of people, process, and technology.
I'll have that as a takeaway for myself. Technology, how is it impacting the culture? Yes.
Yes, I would like to re-emphasize on the Sanjay word. As Sanjay said that we need to talk, because what exactly is happening in the cloud world, people does not know that what exactly is cloud, what kind of features and all these things are available. We just thought that this is just a laptop or a server and all these things. There are n numbers of features available. If we discuss those use cases, if we share our scenarios, where exactly we stuck, what exactly we want to digitalize, we don't require a development. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Those wheels are already reinvented or invented by the Google, Amazon, or Azure, whatever is the service provider, whatever is their service provider. So we need to keep engaging these peoples in our operations and all these things, because nowadays everything is digital. That's it. Thank you.
Simply, as my friend said here, we need not to reinvent the wheel. Wheel is already there. We have to just start using that wheel. We have to take some small space, some small application, just move from your data center to your cloud, then you will feel the experience, how much comfort you are getting, how much ease you are getting in the day-to-day handling of the application. Start your website, then a small application or like that. Then you will feel the difference, then on-prem infrastructure and cloud infra.
Perfect. Thank you.
I might put it in a different way, that you start at the customer need, stated or unstated, and work backwards from there, right? And whether it's internal or external customers for that matter. And digital transformation opportunities will be vast and more in all such cases. And the cloud part will fall in automatically. I don't think we really have to run behind it in that manner.
Thank you, Shriram.
Yeah, I think as Sanjay said that you have to share the information with the cloud provider, whosoever it is. But here, the better part is all of us are part of the system. We understand what the problem is. So the process of making the sale is way easier as compared to someone from outside. You just have to reach out to your sponsors. You have to identify the process gaps. You have to show the improvements which will move the business needle. You have to just for a moment wear the hat of the business guy and say that, okay, you are losing on these things. And then it will be slightly easier in terms of getting that transformation done.
Well, I would say cloud is a need of our hour, and you cannot ignore it.
Correct.
And to go that, you have to get ready, you have to make a plan, you have to make a strategy, and you have to present it in front of board that we are going to migrate, or we are already there, then we are going to improve it. And last thing I want to say that you should get right skill set on the cloud management front. If you don't have that, everything will go away.
So skill set is
Yes.
important. Ankit?
So I have a very limited experience, but yeah, I can share my learnings though. I feel that learning and education of using cloud the right way is very important, even if you know your problem and you can share it with the partners. But the right way to do it requires your understanding as well. towards the cloud. So education has to happen for sure. The second part is like small experiments definitely help. And for the large organizations, people have to understand the scalability part and the security part, because these are the major challenges which people face while using the cloud, as per my own experience. Rest of the things you can manage, you can understand, and you can make things happen with the help of the provider, will have to have help of the partners. But security and scalability has to be taken very seriously when it comes to cloud. So
Thank you, Ankit. So before I end and conclude this, any questions from the audience that you want to ask, any specific people, any questions that you have? Any challenges that you're facing in your journeys, in your transformation journeys, that these people might be able to add value?
Actually, now the data localization
Yep.
issue is one of the biggest concern. Especially with Google, I don't find the data localization. So what is the roadmap from the, especially from the Google team? What is your stat on this? Basically, your competitors have already done, have worked hard for the data localization, especially for the Google Cloud.
Do you mean by data residency, right? Localization is like whether
Especially for the banking
residency,
sector, RBI has
residency.
a compliance
So-
that you have to keep the data in the Indian region.
Yeah, so it's a very valid question, and Google has already invested in, in India market, and currently as we speak, we have 2 MZRs, right? One in Delhi, other one is in Mumbai, right? So that takes care of both your DC and DR data residency requirement, right? The Delhi is the latest one, which was launched, I think, almost now 10 odd months, and we always been there in Mumbai. So that has been well taken care, and by virtue of that, we currently not only having a lot of BFSI customers, even in the public sector as well, right? And so that's already been addressed.
I'm asking specifically for the Google Workspace also.
Yeah, so workspace, yes, again, because that's a SaaS offering that we have, right? It's not something, is your own platform, right? And again, within the workspace itself, right, if we go back into the MIT's guidelines, right, so it says only your PI data, only the data that can't go outside the so-called the India geographical regions, right? So even in the public sector, we do have many customers who are with GWS. But on the GCP side, yes, it's already there.
Do you have a roadmap for putting the servers in India for the localization of Google
For the
Workspace?
GWS, as far as my knowledge goes, I don't think so in near future, maybe down the line.
In fact, it would depend on what the RBI and the new data protection law comes up with. For all we know, that could go out.
Now the new word they have they are going to amend the trusted nations.
Yes.
That will be the
It's similar the adequacy that EU gives. Anybody else for any questions? Okay, so then I'll not hold any longer and not stand between dinner and drinks. Thank you, everyone. It was an interesting conversations from speed, agility to the technology plus culture and the people process technology. I'm sure it was interesting. So the panelists and myself are here. Any questions, any information that you need, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, and one round of applause for everyone. Thank you.